Hello everyone, this is me, MCVBTM of ASEAN New Zealand, Thuy Ha, or you can say ha ha ha. Well, I'm very happy to be back with TM training series focused on team standard implementation. And the topic for today is coaching skills, which is one of the most requests that I receive from TM Commission and also from the network. So let's get started. Well, as usual, before starting, I would like to you guys to really have a deep understanding about coaching definition before we move to the tips and action steps. So, according to the research, coaching is a conversation, a dialogue, whereby the coach and the individual interact in a dynamic exchange to achieve goals, enhance performance, and move the individual forward to greater success. So, by stopping and mentioning about achieve goals and performance, what I want you guys to remember is that whenever you think about conducting a coaching to your members, you must understand that you have to set a goals, and also you need to check their performance in order to make the coaching successful. And again, a role of a coach is very simple. Firstly, to help to find solution by asking reflecting and purposeful questions for the situations. Second, help motivate coaches to complete their plan after reaching goal and plan agreement. Yeah. So what you need to remember right here is that you should not ask some questions that are not purposeful at all, but your question should be reflecting and also very purposeful. And then the end goal of conducting a coaching is that to support and also to help your coaches to complete their plan after reaching the goal and plan agreement. And in your LC level, you can you can see that the benefit of having the coaching system is that the member can be more proactive, and the member they don't really be afraid of like making mistake because they know that they will have a lot of things to learn after that. And then they can even be very innovative, and also this will be a very helpful tool to help you to keep a bottom-up approach and also bottom-up culture in the LC. And for the member level, so in their perspective, the benefit that the coaching systems can really help them is that the core issues that they usually have is that they really need the leader support, but sometimes the leaders they don't really know what the members don't know, and then member need to have to get help in order to set a very clear goal in JD so that they can feel their alignment in Isaac, and then they can feel trust and empowerment. And again, always be the one to listen first if you want to develop your members. So, when talking about the benefit of having a coaching systems or conducting coaching to your members, what I want to mention is that for like personally, you can learn a lot about empowering others by supporting individual growth, and also extending your influence and impact. So imagine if after a coach or like after your coaching and then your member really got like fulfilled and they strive more even harder than before in order to achieve the team goals. And then you can also move forward from producer to developer, and also you will like it also enable you to develop leaders, not followers, and that is what Isaac is always striving for, right? And one more point that I think everyone needs to know when talking about coaching is that like there must be a difference between a normal people and a highly productive people. So have you ever wondered like why do you have so many tasks to do as a leader? And sometimes you just feel like you cannot really delegate to your members because they are not good enough. But according to the research and also based on the facts that I collected on the internet, so 20% that like highly productive people got is from personal productivity, and the remain 80% that comes from developing and leading people. So if you want your work to be more productive, you must considering like developing your members, and coaching is one of the methods to achieve to develop your members. And before talking about the tips for coaching and also the action steps, what I want to mention is also about what you need to consider before conducting a coaching. So there are three main points I want to say. The first point, that is also one of the most common mistakes that a leader usually have, is the ego on the way when you meet with your members or your team. So you can ask yourself whether you have like your own ego during the coaching or like during working with the team with those following questions. Do your members share their ideas and thoughts freely? Are the best ideas come from others? If you often contribute ideas, does the discussion quickly move from your idea to the best idea? And at the end, are you really happy about it? Second point is controlling peak when insecurity takes over. So imagine that like you talk with your members with a very high ego, and the result can be like that. Like insecure members will try to avoid mistakes by doing as little as possible. So that is the reason why they don't really productive at all. And also from yourself, from your side as a leader, insecure leader deal with it by relying on control. So you don't really control at all, but you just try to control like everything. Like you can say that it is micromanaging. And the last one, and also one of the most important one, based on my opinion, the trust issues when insecurity takes over again. So the only way that I find that to earn someone's trust is by trusting them first. And just thinking about what is the worst thing that can happen when you start fully trusting your members, and what is the best. Well, my suggestion would be thinking about your members and also think about your first time being a member, and what are the difference, what are your fear, what were your fear, what were the things that you feel afraid of when taking the task at the first time, what were the things that you feel insecure from your previous leader. So try to not make the same mistakes like your previous leader. And it actually takes a leader to grow and to show a leader. So I always have my own tips is that first who and then what. So it's very simple. First who, so you define who that person are, who your members are. Then you think about what are your action steps, what will you do, what should you do to really take care, to really and fully be able to take care and develop your members. So in here I have 5 simple examples for you to see how to like consider and also like how to contribute to your member development as a coach and also as a leader. So if you just do it by yourself, so we call that is competence. But if you do it and your member do with you, so that means you are demonstrating. And if your member do it all the times and you just stay beside with your members, so that is the stage that we need coaching. And if you your member doesn't really need your help anymore, but you just need to like give them power. So that means you are empowering them. And if your member just do whatever they want to do, and you are very sure that someone else will be with your members, so that means your members already become leaders, and that is called reproduction process. And again, it takes a leader to grow a leader. So we will need a lot of developing and measuring. So right here I have 6 basic steps that you can consider, and then also consider about like which stage to implement which. So at the first point that your member is very fresh, so what you can do is like just tell them to report, and you'll be the person who decide what to do. So in this stage you should implement mentoring instead of coaching. And then when your member already like got some idea about their work, but they just need to be developed, so you will ask them to report everything they did with pros and cons and also their recommendation. So right here you will need a little bit mentoring and also a little bit coaching. And then you just need your members to let you know what they intend to do, but just do not do it unless you say yes. So they already have some ideas, but they're just not good enough, they're just not there yet to take action and to make decisions by themselves. So in this stage you also need to do mentoring and coaching. But coming to the fourth stage, when your member already know everything and you only witness and observe their performance and you feel trust, so you just need to know what they intend to do and just keep they do it unless you say no in some issues and in some situations. So in this stage you just need to do coaching so that your members can really feel empowered and also they can be developed as fast as they can. And then when they already like master or like they are already expert at some points at some jobs, so you don't really need to do anything at all and you don't really need to track them too intensively. So they just need to know what they did, and that's all. And the end stage would be the take action stage, which means that they already are leader and they don't really need your support anymore. So you don't need to have further contact with them unless they request or unless they need some advice from you. And right here I also want to clarify the difference between a coach and a mentor, as I sometimes see that people usually misunderstanding it. And one of the most important things that you need to consider before taking the coach as your role is that you need to deeply understand the role of a coach. So for the coach, it simply aims to help the person to achieve the best performance. They try and direct a person to an end result without telling them what to do. But for mentor, it's more about like sounding board, so they can give advice, but it is up to the mentee to do something or to choose which advice to follow. But for the coach, we will not provide any advice. And for the coach, we can be like very specific in terms of performance objectives, whereas the objective in the mentoring relationship is one of growth through sharing experience and perspective. And usually it has short-term objectives, where mentoring relationship longer-term objectives are set. But for mentor, you will see that it's usually someone who has done what the mentee wants to do or achieve in the future. And also the mentor can be someone from the profession and the mentee wants to get into the future, and someone the mentee looks up to. So do you see the difference right now? Yeah. Moving to the next stage, which is the coaching theory that I call ROSA. So actually for coaching method, we will have a lot of theories. So you can choose whatever you want, but right here I just use Rosa as this is one of the most powerful theory that I see from Isaac Network when talking about coaching. So the R is reality. So the questions you can ask is that what is the reality that the coachee face and what are their current problems? And then you can wait until they finish talking and then you just need to say, okay, so from what I understand, you face the current situation, blah 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 blah, right? And if they say yes, you can move on to the next stage. And if they say no, so you have to ask them again and ask them again to really be able to define and also confirm their situations. Sometimes they talk and share a lot of things, but actually they don't really know what their current realities are because they have so many issues and they don't really know what is the urgent issues that they are facing. And then to the objectives part, so you need to ask your coachee what they want to achieve to change their reality, and then you have to follow with a question. So why do we need to ask from the objectives? So just imagine that sometimes, like when we share something to some people, it's not really like we want to share and we want to have advice, but sometimes it's just like we have so many things in our mind and we just want to share so that we can free our mind and we don't really need advice at all. So you need to make sure that they like what they want from you as a coach and also as coachee. So you can ask them at the end of the time of the day is that, so from what I understand, you want to achieve blah blah blah, right? For example, if a member come to me and complain a lot of things about her issue when like having so many tasks to do, so the reality that I ask her would be, okay, so from what I understand, the current situation that you are facing right now is about like failing to manage your time, right? And if she say yes, so move to the next day. Okay, so from what I understand, you want to improve it, right? And if she say yes, so I can move to the next stage. But if she say something like, not really, I already know the solution, but I just feel that I want to share. So if her her objective to come to me is just about sharing, so I will just ask her, okay, so from what I understand, you just want to have someone to share and someone to listen to your problems, right? And if she say yes, so I can move to the next stage. Alright, you got the idea right now? Yeah, it's very simple and easy. And then comes to solutions. So you need to ask your members what solutions they can think of to meet these objectives. So remember that you are now a coach, so you are not mentor. So what you need to do is not about giving advice, but what you need to do is to give them some reflecting questions so that they can know what they should do. Yeah. So for example, if I ask my members, like, okay, so to really be able to manage your time better, so what do you think you should do? Maybe she would say, well, I need to break tasks into smaller tasks. I need to have a deadline. I need to be more disciplined to myself. And she said a lot of things. So I will just ask her, okay, so to achieve the objectives, you have to come up with this solution, right? If she say yes, you can move on to the next stage. But if she say no, well, you know what to do right now already. Ask her until she say yes. And the most important thing from Rosa's theory would be the action plan, because if you know the solutions but you don't take action, so you actually don't change at all. So from the actions plan, make sure that you and also your members know what actions, even big or small, can your members take to reach their solutions. And the most important thing, when will they do it? Sometimes they have perfect plans, but they never do it at all. So if you don't take action right away, so until when that you can change yourself and you can change the situation. And like to support you to like have better coach experience and also the better experience from your member for their development. So I will also introduce you the leadership development assessment based coaching guideline. So this is a combination about the leadership development model that we have in AIESEC with the coaching guideline that I just showed to you. And in fact, when I conducted this in ASEAN in Vietnam in my LC, we actually improved our productivity from 1.5 to 2.3, and also it helps like strengthens the connection among leaders and members a lot. That also lead to the results that like 90% of our like members at that time decided to stay in AIESEC and decided to apply for higher position in AIESEC. So for example, from my LC, one position will receive at least 3 people to apply. So our leadership pipeline is very strong at that time, thanks to this development assessment and coaching guideline. So now I want to introduce to you, and hopefully we will also improve the current context of ASEAN in New Zealand and also in your LC in specific. So again, about the definition, I want to mention first about the competency definition. So competency is a set of abilities, commitments, knowledge, and skills that enable a person or an organization to act effectively in a job or situation. And it's a combination of skills, job attitude, knowledge, which is reflected in job behavior that can be observed, measured, and evaluate. So remember, everything should be able to observe, measure, and evaluate. Because if you fail to measure, you don't know what we need to improve. And if you don't know what you need to improve, you will not develop at all. And competency is also a determining factor for successful performance, as I mentioned before. And the focus of competency is behavior, which is an application of skills, job attitude, and knowledge. So in the company, this is an example of the competency model that we will usually see in the HR department in every company. And each company will have different competency model based on their goals, vision, and job relation. Yeah. So the roles of competency model, you can see that like it's a model that describes organizations' competencies and their levels to ensure the sustainable growth. So you can do like when you assess, and you can really like be able to recruit the people who fit your competency, and also aims to develop your members into the higher competency that you want them to have, and also to orienting to really show and support your members' development. So in AIESEC, as an organization, we also have our own competency model. So we usually call that it is leadership development model, right? And as you can see here, we also have some behaviors that we that we have here. But the downside of AIESEC leadership development model currently from AI is that we haven't really got like classified into levels. So we don't have like level 1, level 2, level 3. We cannot measure like the difference between the standard for a newbie in terms of their leadership development with like for example VP's leadership development, because we haven't really got like the different levels. But well, this is just the basic and foundational things that we can really focus on and also utilize to develop ourselves as coach, and also to develop our members as our final destination in AIESEC. So why do we need to have this? Why do we need to have leadership assessment, leadership development assessment? So for talent management functions is our measure of success. So LTA is one of the KPIs to assess leadership and management effectiveness of direct leaders, as well as solutions provided by talent management at local level. And also, we will be able to support our member development and orientation by understanding and knowing the members' level of competency. It is also very critical for the team leaders to provide very prompt actions to support them. And again, data is very important to make fair judgment and ensure reasonable reward and recognition with the team. So imagine that you don't feel like your members perform at all, but she felt like she has contributed her best. So who's right and who's wrong? We cannot give the direct answer because we don't have anything to base on. So based on the score, like the LDA score, we actually have the data to base on, to evaluate and to finalize the current context of your members in order to give them the best support. So for the members, they will understand how they will be developed in Isaac. They will also know the current competencies or leadership journey and of their own leadership journey and how to reach the higher level. They also know what leadership qualities they need to develop to be able to apply for another or for higher positions in Isaac. For example, if they don't really have a very high score for empowering others, so how can they become leaders? So they need to improve their own empowering others score. And also, it will also give the motivation to your members to work harder to achieve the need, like leadership qualities themselves. So just imagine that everyone will have different reasons to come from Isaac. But actually, the thing that keep us motivating to do whatever the situation can be will be our selfish motivation. So if we really see that Isaac give us a lot of things to develop ourselves, so we will just strive for our task harder and work even harder, even though we know that there must be a lot of difficulties and obstacles ahead. And this is a little bit for the direct leaders and also for the people who interview the newbies in order to in the Isaac membership recruitment. So we will have more effective personal meeting and coaching, so we don't just try to implement it because this is a part of team standard implementation, but we really have the purpose to do it. And we also give the right and effective support for our members in terms of trainings, guiding and leading. For example, for LCVTM, if you see that the current issues of your LC is they have very low score for self-awareness, so there's no need to focus on developing them for being leaders, for have more empowered, have more powerful and be more empowered to other people. But looking at the current issues is that they are lacking of self-awareness, so our trainings or church guiding or leading should be able to improve their self-awareness. Yeah, so by doing that we can really make fair judgment and understanding within the members and also the leaders. And the assessment criteria that I list out, first of all, remember that those behaviors must come from the past, because sometimes when the members conduct the LDA, they just score based on what they hope they will become, but they haven't demonstrated that at all. And then you have to make sure that they really have several evidence or data to prove the demonstration. So for example, if I always wake up late and I only be able to wake up early at 5 a.m. one time, so I cannot say that I am a person who always wake up early, right? So you must make sure that your members should demonstrate the behaviors from several evidence and data and from the past, and it should repeat from time to time in a very long time. And also because that is the behavior, so they should demonstrate the same or similar behaviors in different working environment, even for working with a team or working with team leaders only or working individually only. And the highlight is that you can make agreement in both sides. So you and your members can be the people who decide the final score of your members' LDA. So to make it clearer, I have 7 steps for you to, so you can consider this as a assessment guide so that you can be able to deliver the coach better for your member. So firstly, you should ask your members to have iSpark accounts because that is the only way that you can conduct the LDA. And then step number 2, as a coach, you have to deeply understand the behaviors and leadership qualities of your members, and also the leadership qualities that Isaac are aiming to develop. And then you can create a spreadsheet to track your members with names and functions. And then you can ask your member to fill in the LDA. And also please remember to remind them about the clarity of why and criteria to do the assessments. So make sure that they do it because they want to know their coding context, not because you track them so that they can have higher score. So it's not like that. Just remember the reason why we have to do it. And step number 5, you can challenge each other to reach agreement of the results. For example, I would say that for my member, if she figure out that she has pretty good score of empowering others, but when I reflected on her own experience, I couldn't really see it as strong as she thought. So I will just challenge her by asking her more questions. So can you tell me, when did you really feel like you helped your member to perform? And I just keep asking her a lot of things until we understand each other fully so that we can make the final agreement. And step number 6, define the next steps. So once you already know about your member's current context, we need to really define the next steps so that she or he can improve in the next week or in the next month. And after a time, you have to go through the step number 7, do the assessment and then review the previous plan, the plan that they the next step that they decided to do in the last time, and then define bottlenecks, improving areas, and then go back to step number 2. So about the step number 5, that guiding questions, those are the questions that I give so that you can have some preferences when asking questions for your members. You can ask them, are you sure that these are the behaviors that you demonstrate? Can you give me past experience and evidence to prove that this is your behavior? Besides that, do you have any other stronger evidence to show that you still demonstrate this behavior, but in another environment, for example in individual working environment? Is it clear and strong enough to be considered as a behavior and competency you demonstrate? Are we all on the same page about this competency definition? So for example, there can be a case that your understanding about empowering others can be different from your members, so there's no point for fighting or for argument because you haven't been on the same page. So make sure that you understand your member fully, and also your member will understand you fully when talking about those topics. And for making agreement is pretty easy. You can ask and you can say that if this is not that useful and strong, I would suggest that we just put this behavior as a no, and then we'll try to achieve it next time. Hopefully that they will agree, but I strongly believe if they already understand about the clarity of why they have to do this, they will really consider very carefully when taking any like any score in the LDA. For step number 7, review. So you can ask them, how do you think about your assessment result today? Are you satisfied with it? What are the things you feel satisfied the most and why? What are the things you feel not satisfied at all? Why? What are the key drivers for your success so that you can utilize for the next time? What are the bottlenecks for not achieving your expectation so that we can try to improve it this time? And what are the improving areas or next steps that you can foresee for the next time? Yeah, and I also list out some common reasons for the members who have low LDA score that I collected from ASEAN Vietnam, and I think will be also applied for the context of membership in ASEAN in New Zealand. So usually it can be from JDs, so that like their JDs are not clear enough and they don't really have the very clear learning points when doing the task, or they feel like lacking of support from leaders. They don't know what to do, they don't know what to perform, and they don't know what to ask. Or working environments or teammates. So sometimes the diversity of the team or the team characteristic affects a lot on the members' development. And also, if they are not self-aware aware enough, so they will not be able to see how they will be developed. And sometimes it's also because their own development plan is not effective. For example, there was one time that my member set her own development plan for 1 month is that to read 10 books at a time. But she's the person who rarely to read books, so it doesn't make sense for her and it's not effective at all. And sometimes it can be affected by other reasons or personal values or characteristics. For example, one time when my member said that like he really wants to develop his communication, but during the meeting time he didn't really speak at all. So when I asked him the reason behind, he said that like, sometimes I want to say something and I want to argue with people, but I just feel like hurting people by giving them too straightforward feedback. So it comes from his personal values, and that leads him to this decision. So be very sure that personal values can be a very contributing factor in affecting the LDA score. And also, you need to remember that you can conduct coaching for your members to let them realize the issues themselves. But if you want to give them guidance and suggestions, you must apply mentoring based on your experience in ASEC. Sometimes you can also adjust the JDs, add more or less challenges to fit with the current levels of competency or LDA of your member. And also try to ask for support from your leaders or talent management function if you need any support. So the last word that I'm going to give it to you right now is just make sure that you be fair. So whenever you be a coach, you should not like make judgments based on the score of your members. And then also be very humble and give no judgment. So I hope you really enjoy this video, and if you really have any concern or difficulties with implementing the coaching system, feel very free to approach your LCVB TM or me, Thuy via email. Yeah, and for the next TN training series, if you also have any other requests, just feel free to ask me as well, because I will try my best to give you the best support that I can as MCVB TM of ASEAN New Zealand term 17-18. Yeah, that's all from me, and enjoy your weekend everyone. Bye.